Hi! You're watching Kerry Lyons of The Imperfect Life, and I am here to help you create the life that you want, whilst also loving the messy adventure of creating it. And people, who I have with me today is so exciting. I'm just like buzzing off my seat. Candice Brathwaite, who is presenter, writer extraordinaire, founder of Make Motherhood Diverse. Hello, Candice!
Hello.
Sorry, you can just tell how like hyper I am. This is just like the most exciting thing ever to be able to talk to you. Thank you so much for this slice of your time. It's just
No, thank you for
amazing.
having me. Thank you.
Oh no, I'm absolutely like so excited to have you. I'm going to calm down a bit now. What for the very few people I'm sure that don't know who you are? Would you care to just share like who you are, what you do, and just a little bit about what you do with your day to day?
My name's Candice Brathwaite. I'm a mum of two. My son RJ just turned 1. My daughter's 5. I'm self-employed. And I basically use the internet to make money. I don't really like the term influencer because it's just steeped in so much negativity right now.
Mm-hmm.
I've just found a way to work from home and use my talents to make cash. So I would say like I'm an internet entrepreneur, so to
Yes.
speak. And my day to day is like emails, Skype calls, speaking to like big brands about what they want their content to look like and how I can bring myself to that. And then I also run a platform called Make Motherhood Diverse, which I'm currently trying to turn into a community interest charity. And the paperwork behind that is like, so yeah, as with all women, regardless of how you work or if you work, there's just a lot of layers.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And that kind of like digital entrepreneur, online entrepreneur thing is just like such a kind of like fluid and free way of living your life nowadays. It's almost like
Yeah.
if you're not trying to do that in some capacity, you're like missing out on so much.
Yes.
But that was a beautiful introduction. So I want to kind of go back a bit to kind of like the Candice before you're living your fabulously imperfect life, and like talk about like what you were kind of struggling with and like your experience of well, I'll let you say your experiences that kind of made you feel like I need to change, something needs to change up. Like where was your head at that point before the change happened?
So when my daughter was 2, I went back to work. I won a job, actually. A job popped up in my Twitter feed. It was a competition to win a job in the marketing department of Penguin Random House. I always wanted to work in publishing, but I didn't go to uni. And the nepotism that surrounds publishing, I just didn't have those links. So I saw that and I thought, I was so disconnected from the process. I filled out the application really arrogantly, like, hit send, like, yeah, take that, and then just didn't think about it until I got through the first round and the second round and then the final. There was over 3,000 applicants and they could only choose 4 people. I was one of the 4, and then all of a sudden I was a working mum, and I loved it. The process behind bookmaking, even though I will probably say more on it later, is terribly archaic and really, really slow. And if you want to get the best out of writers today, the publishing industry need to hurry up. But just being behind the scenes, seeing how campaigns work, it really moved something in me, specifically because around then, it was like 2014, influencer marketing was just about coming to the surface. And I spent a lot of my hours in the day phoning mummy bloggers like, hi, how much would it be for you to talk about this book? And the prices they were coming back with, I was then looking at my wage at the end of the month like, wow, I'm missing a trick here. Like, I do not need to do this.
Yeah.
But even though I was on Instagram, I wasn't using it in that way. So even though I was showing up to my day job every day, in the back of my mind was always this grand plan. I didn't know how I was going to get there, but I was like, one day I'm going to be the one answering that call, not the one making it. And so I'd come to work every day, then run home and like squirrel away at my little rubbish YouTube channel and try and take photos and make my kid look cute and just try and find my way in a world that I didn't see myself in. And I have to add that In the mummy blogging world back then, there were no black women.
Right.
None. I just didn't see black mums or black parents being represented really well in that space. So it was a space where I just had to be prepared to be the first.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, you're going to suffer a bit, you're going to take some knocks, but let's just do that. And then midway through my first year with Penguin, I just got really overwhelmed. It was that whole, you know, you're sitting at your desk at 4:59, running for the train, trying to meet childcare, then realizing all your money's going on childcare. And one day I literally phoned my partner and I was like, I'm going to resign today. And he was livid because we were piss poor. Don't know if I can say that word, but we were really broke. And he was like, okay, so now we're going to go back to one wage and struggling. And I understand you have a plan, but I just don't get it. All I hear is that you're going to like mess around on the internet. That's all I can hear from this.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really hard to explain. But in the bottom of my gut, I was like, dude, there's an opening in this market and I refuse to miss my time. Like, it's now or never. And I resigned. And I resigned. I took that L. We were really broke. And there were so many days of tears and arguments. And in many ways, it almost cost our relationship because now all the financial stress was on him. But then also, I spent a ridiculous amount of time with my kid. We no longer had to fork out for expensive, unstable childcare. I was able to just devote that time. And then the time she was at nursery part-time, I could get on with building this brand. But they were some really dark times. Mm-hmm. And it's just this, and it sounds so like Brené Brown or whatever her name is, like this whole, you know, it's just like doubling down on your intuition. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm a really jump out of the boat type chick. I never have a plan. I don't understand the word strategy. I'm like, oh, let's jump. It's fine. That's how I think all the time. And for all the times that thinking has been costly, there have been far more times when it's just been bang on.
Right.
And some people always do that. I now basically employ people to be strategic on my behalf, mm-hmm. because I believe my attitude is what's actually got us to a point where this can be a brand, mm-hmm. and we can make money. And if I ever lose that, I think I'll lose the essence of all I've created. So, yeah.
Amazing. That was that was amazing. I'm just going to say the point that you made as well about the strength of character that you had to have your vision and be okay with someone so close to you not getting it, is huge. I think so many people struggle with that they kind of feel like if they don't get that acceptance and like permission from people close to them, that they're therefore like either A, not allowed, or B, it's destined to fail. And it's just not the case. Like, if you like tune into your gut and your intuition, like so like laser focused, then it does not matter who gets it. Like, there's so many people that still do not get what I do in my like immediate family, and it's like, it's fine, they don't need to get it because I'm like, we're the ones that are doing it.
This is it. And I absolutely know. My dad died when I was 21, and I absolutely know that was a very important phase in my life where I was just like, kid, this is how it ends for everyone. This is the finish line for everyone. And every day I say to myself, I'm not going out like a punk. I am not going out like a punk. Like, when it's time to put me, well, I don't want to go in the ground, but when it's time to like burn me, I want people to be like, she rode life off.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's in 5 years or in 50, but I want the resounding attitude to be like, she really did that. She really just came to earth, gave it her all, and then trotted off. I want that kind of experience. Mm-hmm. The bigger fear for me is living a half-assed life. That's a huge issue for me.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I don't. We will always regret things because we're human and we won't always make the right choice. But I want to know I get to the end and I'm like, no, you really pushed the boat out.
Yeah. So when you got to that point where you had that moment of like, I'm resigning today, PS, just so you know, catch you for tea. Was that literally like, was there a build up to that moment, or was it literally a switch in your head that was like, I'm done, I can't actually do this anymore? Like, how did it show up for you?
It was definitely a build up. My mum was my childcare, and my mum's HIV positive. So it was literally like some days she was fine, the next day she'd have pneumonia. That's literally
Right.
how that goes. And then so I'd always be going to work apprehensive of that kind of phone call.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't help that I changed departments. I went from an imprint called Ebury, which dealt with like the Helmsley sisters and all these great authors, to children's books. And it's so funny. Everyone was like, you're going to love kids because you've got kids. Hate it. Peppa Pig, deplorable. Just wasn't my type. So now I wasn't even excited to go to work. I was like, oh, I'm missing out on my kid and I'm feeling really anxious to show up for a job I don't like. You know, I will show up time and again in a space that I love and be underpaid because I love it. Mm-hmm. But if I don't love it, I'm just like, I can't do it.
That's brilliant. Yeah. And that's so important, I think, to remember, because there are so many people that feel like they're struggling to find what their thing is. And it's like to really think about, like, what would you actually do if you weren't even paid for it? Like, you get that much, it's that effortless and it's that natural in you and it's that easy to you and enjoyable. You don't have to be paid. As long as you get a slice of your day where you can do that, you're filled up. You can have that thing. Yeah. Thank you for bringing that. I think that's so important to kind of like drum that home for sure. So like, if you had, what would you say was like the main struggle at that point before that change in your mindset? Was there a point where you kind of had like, I guess a real like mountain to come over? Was it that having that conversation with your husband or your partner, or was it having that actually handing in the notice, that just that process? Was there a particular like wall to leap over?
The biggest wall, I'll be honest, was always financial.
Sure.
We were really broke when we had Esme, and then I got this job which like let us put our heads above water for a bit. Mm-hmm. And it was understanding that I was knowingly drowning myself. Yeah. Like, I don't have to resign. I could just stomach this and, you know, the end of the month won't be this anxious period. But I was knowingly going to let that water come up to my eyes again. Yeah. And it's just reckoning with myself that, babe, you've not had much before. You can do this. And just the biggest hump was self-belief. And also, I still every day have to shed myself of imposter syndrome. Mm-hmm. I get invited to a job or something and I'm just like, me, wrong email, no, wrong person, the next one. And it's every day having to go, no, yes, show up, take it. And also now that it feels like jobs and money come to me so easily, it's also me understanding that, no, you are now just making up for the times you didn't make money. Yeah. I was on the internet for 4 years making no money, creating all this content for nothing, feeling like I was speaking to no one for 4 years. Yeah. Some people, get frustrated after 4 weeks. Yeah. And so now that I'm in this really, make hay period, I'm like, no, learn to relax in this. Because this is actually just you recouping all those years where it was just bread and water for a really long time. And the biggest hill every day is just knowing that I'm deserving of this moment. Yeah, that's huge. And like, do you find, because I know you kind of like your crystals a little bit and the whole manifestation thing, do you find that that's really helpful in kind of like, because it's like a practice, isn't it? It's like having to keep checking into it, whether it's a daily thing or a weekly thing, or just on a regular basis to kind of go like I deserve this. I am deserving. Yeah, so, it's in my spiritual practices are imperative to anything I do. Mm-hmm. For the last couple of months, I actually fell off a bit. I got way too consumed with the world, so to speak. And it's really, I can just feel the blowback of not meditating, not charging those crystals, not journaling daily. I feel so overwhelmed right now. And I'm like, okay, you're overwhelmed because you did not give the time to your spiritual self. Mm-hmm. And that it's that self that told you to quit the job. So now the jobs are coming. How dare you turn your back on that version of yourself and be like, oh, thanks for that. Yeah, bye. No, you need to pay her back too. You need to check in with that part of yourself, because that's the only part, when it's all said and done, you're left with. And so, yeah, I'm like a biggie hippy dippy in that way.
Yeah.
But I've not met anyone, even the most unbelieving of sorts, who hasn't given that space in themselves time to flourish and not gone, oh my God,
yeah,
I should have been doing this forever. Because it's just so bang on. The energy you give out is exactly what you receive. And if you don't take time to harness and master that, everything just goes haywire.
Yeah. And you can have those moments when you feel, it's like when you feel the weightiness and the stress and the overwhelm, it's really important. This is for the people watching this. When you feel in those spaces, like, just check in with yourself going, have I given myself this time? Have I put myself on my own to-do list in the last 3 weeks? And the answer is very usually no. And that's where you are where you are. But yeah, I love that. Thank you for sharing that as well. And like, would you, if there's something that you feel you know now that you could have imparted on yourself then, maybe before you kind of found the courage to take that leap. So as if you're maybe kind of talking to the people who are maybe in that situation right now, what would you like to have told yourself? Is there anything that you feel like you would have liked to have known back then that would really either make it easier, make it quicker, make it less painful, or...
Oh, you know what? I heard Oprah say this. Oprah and Gail, they've got this new like YouTube channel, and Oprah said basically like, what did she say? Basically, how everyone else in your life is like a counselor. You are the only manager.
Right.
I think because I did have, or do sometimes struggle with low self-esteem and lack of confidence, I'm really quick to outsource the things I want to hear. Oh, let me phone this friend. Oh, let me speak to Papa B, blah, 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 blah. When a lot of shifts could have happened so much quicker if I remembered that I manage my life and that everyone else is just there for like counsel. But I have the final say. It's me in the driving seat. I think out of fear sometimes we're in the driving seat and we just completely let go of the steering wheel. And like, oh, friend, help me. And sometimes then you look back and you've ended up in a space you didn't even want to go in.
Yeah.
And it's, oh, I'm the manager. I am the manager. And it's only human to seek counsel from others. But don't then be so scared of the outcome that you end up letting other people drive you in a direction that isn't for you. Because that wastes so much time.
Yeah.
So much time. And I think 4 years ago, I spent so much time trying to do so much because I was taking on the opinions of others and people like, oh, but you're good at this, and not really listening to me, who was like, but this is what I want to do, that I tired myself out really quickly.
Yeah.
I was like on every platform trying to be everything. And it's like, no, just hone in on one space and work out what feels good to you.
Yeah. And I think in my experience of that as well is when you do follow this kind of like path of the counsellors, not in terms of like therapy, because I think therapy is great, but in terms of like as in your counsel, like you described it, it can actually take to a really kind of dark place as well, because you suddenly find yourself in a life that you're like, whose life is this now? I have no idea who I am anymore. And it's like you've created this kind of parallel version of the world from just pulling like tidbits from all these people that you seek advice from, and like not tune into your own intuition. So yeah, really important to kind of tune into that as well. And what I just want to share with the people watching, like Candice has taught me so much on her stories, particularly. Like I'm just like, every time I see a Candice story, I'm like, Bop, what's she going to teach me today? Your like generosity with what you put out there is just insane. And especially in the realms of inequality and diversity and racism and everything that your Make Motherhood Diverse platform stands for as well. It's like opened my eyes so much, and I find myself talking more and more about it with my own peers, predominantly white peers as well, that I'm kind of saying like, this is happening, like, and that some people are so like, what? And it's like, it's with you and people like you, sharing painful experiences, right? So it's not enjoyable for you to like pull this stuff up and go, by the way, this is what happens in my life. It's just so powerful in the online space. So I just want to thank you personally for doing that, because it's like, it's a game changing.
It's actual labor. And I've had to be really more controlled about how much of that I give, because especially a couple months ago it started to really weigh me down in my personal life and personal time, because I will tell a story or I'll share some stats, but what people don't see is the hundreds of DMs that come in after that with people's equally as harrowing stories, or people going, oh my god, I didn't know that, how can I be a voice of change? And sometimes I'm like, the responsibility is too much for me. Sometimes I just want to talk about Chanel shoes and run away. And in other days I do want to talk about the fact that Black women are 5 times more likely to die in childbirth. But it's the things that come after that people don't see, that made me really think about how much I share and how balanced my online space is, because Black women especially, we don't get paid fairly for that kind of emotional labor. And I have to be really guarded and make sure that I'm protecting my mental space, even though I enjoy, because people are like, oh, you know, but you do it so well, and a lot of people are like, oh, you should be paid for this. And I always say, I'm paid really well in my work life, really well. I do not need to set up like a GoFundMe to tell you the many ways in which white supremacy is ruining people's lives. Because outside of this, I'm rich. I don't need your money for that. All I need is respect and help with the balance. It's really, I'm having to lead on that and be like, no, today I'm not discussing racism because I'm bored and I'm tired.
No, I just respect you so much for that, because I just, from just hearing yourself and your peers talk as well, there's a number of accounts that I've found through yourself and that have like linked through you as well, that I'm just so grateful that my eyes have been open to it as well, because I would confess that I was just not, it's only kind of in the last 12 months really that it's been something that's been really heavy on my heart, that I'm like, oh my god, I do this, I am part of this problem. So thank you, miss. So like, if you could leave like a Candice stamp on the people watching this, like for them to take away in their day, like what would you love to kind of say to them, to either like inspire them, encourage them, or help them like stand up and pay attention? Candice stamp, what would that be?
I would say, and Queen Beyonce, in her recent like Coachella documentary on Netflix, there's a line where she says, if my country ass can do it. And it did make me giggle, because now she's Beyonce, we're like, oh yeah, Queen Bee, and it's like, no, she really was just this Black girl from Texas. And if she can like get her life to this point where she can now change others' lives, that's how I feel. I'm like, I am still just this broke kid from Brixton. And not only was I broke, I am the mere creation of all that society will say is unvaluable, not beautiful. Like, if we're doing a pillar of like beauty and value, the kind of person I am really is the bottom tier. Maybe not even the bottom tier. Maybe I'm the stilts in the soil holding this pyramid up. And if I, this broke kid who is dark skinned and has this shaved head and really doesn't filter herself, can poke my head through the soil, I always try and drive that home. I'm like, no sis, if I can create this life for myself, which every day I wake up and I'm like, oh, this is my life, I run this. Okay, yeah, this is great. So overwhelming though. If I can get myself from Summer Leighton Estate in Brixton to here, no one has any excuse. No, literally no one.
Mic drop.
Yeah.
That was amazing. I wanted to just go, yeah, every time, but I was like, trying to hold it in. This is too good. Wow, thank you so much, Candice. That was just like the coolest chat ever. Like, how can people find out about you, get in touch with you, or all the things? Where are you?
Instagram, Candice Brathwaite. Everyone spells it wrong, so it's Brathwaite, Candice Brathwaite, CandiceBrathwaite.com. Yeah, that's where I am.
Amazing! Thank you so much. I know everyone would have enjoyed that because that was just epic. And thank you so much for being this month's Imperfectionista of the month. You're amazing. See you guys. Thanks for watching. Bye.